Madison, great to see you. Thank you so much for coming on Popternative.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
You know, it's interesting, right? Because that script to screen journey always interests me because at some point you get the scripts for this and then you
Yeah,
kind of see it come to life when you film it. There's a
right.
lot kind of happening with 1923, right? You're going back in time, Yellowstone prequel. What is that script to screen journey like for you on this series?
Well, yeah, I mean it's really interesting to kind of see it come to life. Because I had the script for quite a while before, really getting to see it. So, obviously, Taylor Sheridan's writing is so incredible. I'm like, you just wonder what it could be like visually, and of course, it didn't disappoint. So it was really cool to see it.
Do you think about the fact that it's part of the Taylor Sheridan universe and the Yellowstone universe, or is that something that you try to kind of block out when you go film it?
Well, right before I started working on this series,
Yeah.
I watched 1883,
Mhm.
and and I thought it was a masterpiece. I had never seen anything like it. It was beautiful, it was poetic, and so I guess yeah, I did think about it. I thought it was exciting to me. I knew that I was coming into this really, incredible world. And yeah, if anything, it made me more excited to be a part of it.
Absolutely. You know, you're literally like going back in time for a role, right? 1923.
Right.
There's a lot kind of at play. What is that mindset preparation like for you? You know what I mean? Because you're going back in time and setting a certain era. Like, is there a lot kind of going through your mind in terms of preparation to get in that time zone?
Yeah, well, I think, like kind of researching the time, what it was like for, women, for
Yes.
sex workers. I looked into that a lot, but there's something about stepping into that era, because the set was so it felt like you're really there in the 1920s. So there's something about that kind of informs your character, kind of like just the energy of it feels like you really are in the 1920s. So it was, partly the research I did, but also the feeling of, that surrounding.
Yeah. So much happens before you go to camera on a project, right? You're discussing,
Yeah,
you're kind of getting used to the role and everything. So, from an acting storyteller perspective, you can see it as two journeys, right? Before filming something and after
right.
filming something. Or for you, does it feel like one big journey with multiple steps in between from a storytelling acting perspective?
Yeah, I think, well, uh, preparing it is one thing, but
Mhm.
then there's something different about when you get onto set and you're with the other actors and it changes something. It may be like the dynamic you thought you would have with this person is a bit different, the way that you react to them because it's, you have this physical person here. So I think, yeah, it is like one big journey, but it's I don't know, it's just interesting how it kind of flows.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting
Yeah.
too, right? Because, the life of an actor is you go, you do your thing, you rap, and then you play the waiting game, and then it's out of your hands and people get to kind of see it. Is it
Yeah.
always going to be kind of a surreal, kind of strange feeling for you? Like with 1923, right? Like episodes are dropping and it's just kind of
Right.
like, it's crazy to think about, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely surreal because, even though I have finished it, it's every episode or every week when it comes out, it's like it still feels very new to me to see it, because the experience feels so different than getting to watch it. It's like two different perspectives. Like now I'm on this outside perspective where I'm watching it as a story.
Mhm.
But yeah, it is very, very surreal.
What was it like working with everyone, cast and crew? What was your experience like with that specifically?
It was, I mean, incredible. Working, with these actors, I've respected them my entire life, really, and the crew was unbelievable. I mean, it was such a warm and inviting set. I really enjoyed it.
When you work on something like 1923, which is kind of this well-oiled machine, Taylor Sheridan universe, it's so big, the crews and everything. obviously acting is something that you're focusing on, but when you're on a set like this, do you ever think about like going behind the camera when you're working on such a big kind of set like this? Like, is there an inspiration in regards to that, being on such a big machine of a set like 1923?
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, the scenery here is beautiful and like yeah, I'm every single time I'm wondering like what it looks like from back there. I mean, because there's such an art to it. It's
Mhm.
like it's something that does interest me and now seeing it on screen, it's even more interesting because I'm like, wow, what incredible shots and
Mhm.
incredible work they've put into this from behind the camera. It's really interesting.
Is there also like once you wrap a project, is there kind of this because I asked you about the journeys, right? Because people can
Yes.
see it as one or two. Like,
Yeah.
what is that like when you wrap a project specifically, like that first week? Because I feel like it's bittersweet. Sometimes you need a break. Like, what is that? Does it change depending on the project?
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I think well, I don't know. For me, it kind of feels like leaving a friend behind. It
Mhm.
feels like I've spent so much time with this.
Leaving summer camp, basically.
Yes, exactly. It's like I've spent so much time working on this person and you grow to love them no matter who they are and
Mhm.
it just is it is a little sad because you're like, oh, I'm not gonna this isn't someone that I'm thinking about every day anymore.
And there's also a chance because the life of filmmakers and actors is
Yeah.
on to the next journey. There's a chance you might not see that person ever again.
Right, you might not. It's and yeah, it's like you spend so much time together. It's like I don't want to leave. I want to keep this going. I loved everyone that I worked with. So
Absolutely.
hard.
I want to go back to 1923 and the scripts in regards to how they read because I know a show like this has specific kind of storylines and like follows characters, but there's always
Yeah.
kind of big themes and big things that happen, and there's kind of the historical component of it. You mentioned 1883 as well. How do episodes read specifically? Well, like, what are the takeaways when you're reading these episodes? Like, what themes come to mind? Like, I'm just curious about that.
Well, I mean, for me, it's almost kind of like a history lesson in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's so many lines that I'm like, wow, I didn't know that, and it's very fascinating, and it makes me want to kind of like read more into that. But yeah, I think because it's so um, there's that big historic, part of it. It's like it just fascinates me to
Yeah.
read.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, the series streams on Paramount Plus. How cool is it to be? We talked about being part of kind of like the Taylor Sheridan kind of universe, the Yellowstone family. How's it feel to be part of the Paramount Plus universe specifically?
Well, amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, Paramount Plus, yeah, it's like a dream, really.
Yeah.
It's like it's so cool. It's so cool to go onto my Paramount Plus and see 1923 at the top. It's really, really cool.
Absolutely. Kind of to add to that a little bit too, it, when we watch a show like this, we get really dialed in and we get invested week to week. And there's different ways of watching shows, right? There's like that all episodes kind of drop at once, and then there's kind of the
Right.
traditional week to week, right, where you wait
Yes.
and everything. I feel like there's a like I like both of them. I feel like there's a world where both exist. What do you think about that specifically?
Yeah, it's funny. I have my friends are both very different. They're like, I want to watch this right when it drops and I want to save it. I feel like in a perfect world, I would watch everything all at one time. But I have no patience. So I think when the episodes drop, I can't really hold myself back. I have to watch it.
I'm gonna end this interview with a question that I usually ask in the beginning of the interview.
Okay.
How much do you know when you're kind of auditioning or getting kind of the opportunity to be involved with something like 1923? Because depending on the audition, sometimes they tell you a lot, sometimes they don't tell you anything. Like, what were you given specifically?
Um, that is a good question. I don't believe I was given much.
Okay.
I think I was given Yeah, not many details, but I did feel connected to this character anyways.
Yeah.
And I loved this character and I thought she was interesting. And I think that that was kind of, I think the lack of information kind of was intriguing. So yeah, for this one, I didn't really have much, but
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Season 2 of 1923 recently premiered on Paramount Plus. Madison, so great chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
There's an Instagram account, right, where people keep up to date with everything? Is it just your name?
Yes, Madison Elise Rogers all together.
Awesome. This has been Pop Turnitive, youtube.com/Pop Turnitive for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Madison Elise Rogers and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Turnitive. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Turnitive on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.